our national directors for our Thomas Jefferson Center division called the Restoration Generation. They work with the teenagers, the high school and college age, and help promoting the Constitution and the restoration of the principles of God, family, and country all over this country as well as others. And we're pleased to have Andy and Melissa with us.
And also directors of the Glenn J. Kimber Academy in Idaho Falls. So
right.
You have a lot on your plate.
We do. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about Restoration Generation. Tell me more about that.
Well, let me just introduce it by saying that we have received requests from the leadership of over 27 countries, inviting our young people to go into their countries and teach their teens all about America, our Constitution, the Founding Fathers, etc. Unlike a lot of people talk, when we travel in other countries, we find that America has a lot of people who want to duplicate what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so they make those kind of requests. And when I was in Jordan, I met with the royal family. They asked me if I'd come and meet in the palace there in Amman. And they wanted to know if we'd bring our teenagers over to teach their teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And they said we want to be able to teach about the Constitution, about the form of government, because we need something stable like that in our own countries. And other leaders have asked the same thing.
Yeah.
And so what the Gibsons here are doing, Andy and Melissa, is they're putting together and training a whole team of teenagers from across the country to be able to participate in this educational endeavor. It's very exciting.
Yes. Why the interest in America's Constitution?
One of the things that I found really interesting is I started being invited by a number of these great leaders. They're not just people in the country. These are leadership of the country.
Yeah.
And they said America is the only country with a track record of stability of government for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they need to be able to pattern it in other countries. In fact, the royal family said to me, why aren't you exporting your Constitution as your #1 export from America?
Interesting.
And they said we need to have it. But when adults try to teach teens, they always think that there's a hidden agenda, he said. But when teens teach teens, they'll believe it.
Well, that was my other question. Why is this instruction taking place with teenagers as teachers? And you've answered the question.
It's fun because you and I know, Chris, as
Sure.
we're getting more advanced in years, and we know it's the next generation that have the great ability to teach.
That's right.
The knowledge generation.
With each passing year, we have less and less credibility.
That is true. And so, as we've had these requests coming about and also in this country, we have a lot of groups that want to know if we could help them learn the Constitution and from the tradition of the Founding Fathers. Almost no school does it anymore. Mm-hmm. They mention it, but they don't study it much.
That's right, in terms of the content, in
Right.
a sense. You have to find this type of work especially rewarding, or you wouldn't be willing to take so much on.
Right, it's definitely a
Melissa?
cause you have to be passionate about in order to be a part of it. It's an amazing, the youth that are coming to us are just amazing. They are born loving freedom. Like, they have this passion that is so amazing to spread the gospel of freedom and to spread that liberty. And really about the 28 principles of freedom. They love to learn those and to teach those because those join us together. Lots of the time when we talk about how to bring the Constitution back and stuff, it can divide us as to how, but everyone can agree on the principles of freedom. Mm-hmm. We can all agree on that, and it brings us together and it excites us, and it really is a movement that's becoming cool to be part of as a youth and as a high school and college age, that we are out there trying to make it a part of a group that is doing something good and that can go out and help America and to transport it to other countries as well.
Mm-hmm. Andy, what is it that motivates these young people in this way?
I think it's the love for learning of the Constitution, and everybody can see the differences of opinions in the societies and in the social cultures. It's the love to go back to the Founding Fathers' principles that created the country and to see how much it makes sense and how far we've shifted from it, and how we can tie it back into those principles, and they're happy to go out and teach it.
Do you sense, obviously it's interesting to them, but I suspect that it involves more than curiosity or interest. Do you feel that they sense the importance of these messages given what's going on around them?
Absolutely. If you take a look around, it's really hard to find somebody that teaches the principles from the Founding Fathers' point of view. These youth see that, and they're drawn to it. They're drawn to the truth of it, and they want to go out and share it.
Isn't that interesting, Chris?
It is interesting.
Most of the young people, a lot of young people, are very positive and up on America.
Yeah.
But many adults are not. And you know, after you hear all the negative, and America's going to fall apart, it's going to collapse, the economy's going to collapse, pretty soon young people are saying, then what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And when they get a chance to study the real story of America, their confidence in America goes very, very high. Their willingness and interest is very high. It's fun watching their enthusiasm. They start looking forward to the future instead of looking at fear.
With so many years ahead of them, why are they so much more optimistic than some of us grown-ups?
Well, I think if you take history and you look at that and what the problems that they've had in the past, and you take the current events of today and you look at the similarities, and then you take the 28 principles to fix it, then it becomes so much more of a positive thing that we can fix this. They had big problems too back then, and I mean, it seemed insurmountable at the time, but they were able to get through it, and so we can too. And you know, we were born for this. We were born for this time. We can do this.
We've talked about this before, have we not, Dr. Kimber, that it's a problem that is not one in search of a solution. The solution is there, and that's comforting.
It's comforting. And the other thing that I think is very exciting for the young people is that they always tie it into an understanding of three main principles. And that is the love of a creator, being able to get God back into the community again, love of conventional family and biblical family, and love of country. Those are the three things that are taking a hit all over this country and other countries.
Sure.
And when people like the Gibsons here and others of our great people across the country are helping to put on these kinds of seminars, the young people come alive when they start hearing about yes, it's okay to believe in God. Yes, he is the one who gave us this magnificent country. There is a future. It can work out. And so they get very, very excited, and it becomes a lot of fun.
Melissa and Andy Gibson are from Idaho Falls. They head the group Restoration Generation, which is a division of the Thomas Jefferson Center. And we've talked about the Thomas Jefferson Center before on this program. Dr. Kimber, perhaps you could just give a brief overview of its mission.
The mission of the Thomas Jefferson Center is to be able to help restore the Constitution back in our country, and then be able to export it to other countries. It's sad but true that the Constitution we have today is not the one the Founding Fathers gave us. We've added so many changes with amendments, and every amendment becomes part of the Constitution.
Right.
And the last amendment passed always supersedes everything in front. And so instead of having a federal government with limited powers and properly defined responsibilities, it's a runaway. And to be able to come in and say, all right, let's go back. The Founding Fathers were accurate. So we believe very strongly that one day the Constitution will be restored. And when it is, the problems that we're seeing today are going to vanish, and we're going to have the greatness of America back again. But it can't happen without the young people also helping.
Just to reiterate, the idea or concept of a restoration implies that something has been lost.
Yes. Number one, it was pretty good to start with.
Yeah.
Number two, something's happened to it.
Yeah.
Or it would not need, number three, to be restored.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm one of those very firm believers that the religious leaders of different denominations and leaders clear back with Ben Franklin talked about the time when people would lose confidence in America, and the God of heaven would raise up a generation that would help reestablish the Constitution again.
Yeah. Melissa and Andy, you've talked about the enthusiasm that these students have shown in teaching about America's Constitution. Talk a little bit about the reaction of their pupils, their peers, those whom they teach.
It's been great. It is an energy and a vibrancy that goes on in these groups, and they just feed off of each other, and it's like they have an understanding of what their calling is when they're around each other, when they can be around these principles. You know, we watched a video on the Ukraine situation that right at the beginning of it, and there was a youth about their age, and she was on there saying, "I love freedom. I want it, just like you Americans. Watch this, spread it." And we talked about it, and the soul cries out for freedom.
Yeah.
It wants freedom. We know we want it, and we hunger for it. No matter what age we are, we know we want it, no matter what country we live in. But we don't understand it. We don't understand what it takes. And one of the principles is to be a virtuous and moral people. Do you understand that? Your soul cries for freedom, but do you understand that you have to be a good and moral people in order to have it? You have to be a good moral people. And so, we talk about these principles and the things that are going on, today that can apply to those things, and they find it fascinating. They're coming to me with stories of what are going on in the world today and how we can apply it, and how we need to go help these people to understand what they need to do in order to have freedom. Mm-hmm. It's not just about going and fighting and starting a revolution and saying, "I want freedom." It's good, or bad, depending on the situation. But what they have to understand is what goes behind it. You have to understand the principles and what it takes. It's just not saying, "I want freedom and I want to be free." There's more to it than that. And that's why the founding fathers succeeded, is because they understood, and they went back to Moses and the scriptures, and they understood those principles, and that's why they were able to succeed. Because their ego wasn't in the way. They just wanted, they didn't want power, they wanted freedom, truly. And every time these different countries are having these different revolutions, somebody comes in and wants power, and so we have to teach them what it takes truly, and to be free people, and to be able to have the decisions, and to be able to choose virtue and morality and all of those things that it takes. And so I love being around them, because they're beginning to understand how to go around and teach these people what it takes to actually, don't just fight for freedom. You have to understand what it is.
Yeah.
Isn't it exciting to be able to hear her? You see why she's the national leader?
That's right. Yeah. You can see the enthusiasm coming through.
One of the reasons, Chris, that they're here in Cedar City today, they're actually vacationing in a place called St. George. But we normally don't talk much about that place. But
it's a nice place.
But they came up to be able to see where we will be holding on July 17, 18, and 19. July 17, 18, and 19, here in Cedar City, a national 3-day training program for youth interested in learning these materials. Mm-hmm. We'll have a full 3-day of classes and training, and on the background of not only the Constitution, but the whole background on the restoration and what needs to happen to restore, the belief of the Creator back into society. A conventional biblical family back in society, and a great government back in society. So that's 3 days, and anybody have an interest in that, you have 2 numbers there you might share with them. If anybody has high school or college age young people that might want to come and participate in that with us, that's July 17, 18, and 19.
And that number locally is 435-238-4653, 238-4653, or you can get a hold of the Gibsons in Idaho Falls, who head this program, 208-569-0023, 208-569-0023, a 3-day conference.
3-day training conference for the youth. They're going to love it. And it's so fun. You get these young people together and get them excited about America and their future again. Their eyes light up, and it's just, it is very rewarding. And a lot of people here in Cedar City have children and grandchildren, teenage years. And they know that these young people will come and talk to Grandma and Grandpa about their love for America and what's happening and what can we do about it.
Yeah.
And this is the only organization like it in the entire United States.
What a great activity right in the middle of summer, juxtaposed between the two holidays that we celebrate here in Utah, and a good opportunity for young people to gather here in Cedar City. Give us a feel, Andy and Melissa, for what these students can expect over that 3-day period.
We'll have lots of youth there teaching on how to teach and what we're going to be doing around the country and around the world, and we'll be having some amazing guest speakers. The best thing to do would go on our Facebook page. Just look up The Restoration Generation and follow us on Facebook, and we'll keep you updated as to who we get as far as speakers and exactly what's going to be going on. I've even heard a rumor that there might be a dance. I know youth love a dance, so come just for that. But and it will be fun, exciting times where you can be around like-minded youth. That's what's so exciting, really, is to be around the other youth that think the same way, that are excited about the future the same way, and they have that amazing, not only freedom spirit, but entrepreneurial spirit, and they just want to be around each other, and they just are excited, and that's what's going to be fun, is to be around people that are headed in the same direction as you. So.
The Glenn J. Kimber Academy here in Cedar City is located at 150 East Altamira, and once again the telephone number 435-238-4653, and I'm guessing that will be the venue?
Yes, it will. They're continuing, as you know, remodeling up there, and they got 2 very, very nice rooms. They will be finishing out for that, so there'll be plenty of room. And then by the time we get into our fall schedule, and we got some exciting things for us, then we'll have a full auditorium and a lovely commercial stage, and we got some of the best people coming in. It's going to be a thrilling situation here in Cedar City. We're loving it. It's exciting to see so many things happening. We'd love to have people come and just take a look at what we're doing. They can come by any time and just see what we're doing there at the building.
When we last visited with you, which was just last Friday, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to drop by and get the grand tour, but you pulled a fast one on me. You've moved to Wednesday now, so suddenly it's here again.
That was Tim, and he was kind enough to move it to from twice on Friday to Wednesdays, and then we'll be on Wednesdays, and in the future it'll be every Wednesday, and that'll give an opportunity for us to bring in more individuals. I was telling them how excited I am for what we've got coming on the also here this next month in May. I just got a call from the former ambassador, the United States ambassador of the Middle East, who's going to be coming here giving a special presentation on what's happening in the Middle East to the Christian converts of different denominations. And now there's a systematic move to try and kill all Christians in the Middle East. And boy, he's fighting that. He's a wonderful, wonderful leader, former leader from Lebanon. His grandparents were killed a number of years ago over there as Christian Lebanese, and boy, he's going to be on the program with you, Chris. You're going to have a great time.
Oh, interesting.
But watching this happening, and now the reason we selected 17, 18, and 19 of July for the youth program is, remember, that's also when we're having an adult study program for our tools and techniques of effective teaching. And so we'll have both of those conferences going on at the same time.
Yeah, very good. There's always something going on at the Glenn J. Kimber Academy. We've had open houses and seminars for the past
and guest speakers
several weeks.
Yes, we have a lot going on. We're so appreciative, but having these wonderful friends down from Idaho is exciting, and be able to have them. I just wanted them to for the people here locally to get acquainted with them, the enthusiasm they bring, and what they're doing across the country. We've been invited. They'll be taking a group over to the Holy Land in last of October and November, and they'll be doing a teaching program over there where the local people are bringing in teens from the various countries over there for special seminars, and our young people will be over there. It's just a great thing to do.
Now, we've spoken with Bob and Teresa Cummings on this program about the typical day and about the approach of Glenn J. Kimber Academies. One of the things that I'd like one of you to respond to is, I think people would be interested to find, and this is a comment that is on your webpage, Dr. Kimber, and that is that, you know, given a traditional public education, parents have scarce little time to be able to spend with their children, to be able to instill in them their values and so forth, and that is something that is addressed in the Kimber Academy approach, is it not?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask Melissa, as a mother, to talk a bit about that. She runs a very successful Kimber Academy program in Idaho Falls, and she can address that from the viewpoint of a mom, and what it's like to have the children have some more time at home, and what a typical day is like there.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me because that's one of the questions I almost always get from everyone that calls inquiring about the school is, well, what do you do the rest of the time? And it's amazing how quickly your time fills up. You know, Dr. Kimber, you know, told us when we started the school, he said, well, Mondays you have to recover from Sunday, and Fridays you want to get out of town. And that is so true. Like, Mondays we are just tired, and it's like our regroup day. You know, we get the house done, we get laundry done, so we don't have to do that when Dad's there. When Dad's there, we can go have fun. And so on Fridays, you know, we like to get out of town. We like to go do something fun. But it's so amazing how much we can learn the things that they love to do. Like my daughter, she loves, you know, to learn all about the planets and the stars right now. Like, she's totally into that. And so we get to focus on that a lot of her time right now. And so it's really fun that we can explore that a lot further than you would be able to normally. And we get to do it as a family, and we get to talk about it. And what she loved, the 4 blood moon thing that was just happened.
Yeah.
She loved that. So we had to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was like, oh, okay, I'm done. You know, and so that kind of stuff we get to do. And we just get to find their passions and what they're really excited about. You know, my son can go ride his bike to the batting cages if he wants to, you know, whatever he wants to do at that time. And my other kids get to go outside and just be kids a lot of the time. Because really what the school system, the public school system does is it really crams a lot into those younger years. And I, as a mom, as I watch my kids, they need to be outside and they need to be digging in the dirt. And that's where they really learn. And then the more intense education is really when they're older, which we seem to be opposite in the public school system. Yeah. And so, you know, my 14-year-old, you know, he's getting into some pretty intense stuff now, and that's where he needs to be. He needs to be focused on his education and doing that. And so we can focus more on that as a family. And it's fun because we get to discuss the same subjects, because they're all learning about the same things, and we get to talk about scriptures. And it's thrilling when your son comes to you and discovers something that he can apply to his life in the scriptures, and we are together and we can talk about it, and it's not like he's discovering that somewhere else besides my home, and I get to experience that feeling with him.
Isn't that great? You see, what we did, Chris, when we first started the schooling program better than 30 years ago, we went back and studied to see how much time is best for a student to be academically involved, before they burn out and don't like school. And right now you got a lot of burning out going on.
Sure.
And so we experimented with different times. We found that 9 hours a week in intensive education was not quite enough. 15 was too much.
Interesting.
So we found that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they go to school, you're there from 8 till noon, and that works out very, very nicely. The kids do exceptionally well.
Thank you for visiting with us today, Melissa and Andy. You head up the Restoration Generation, which is a division of the Thomas Jefferson Center, and a center which is headquartered now here in Cedar City.
In Cedar City, yeah.
In the summer, July 17th, 18th, and 19th is your conference, and students can be involved by calling 435-238-4653. 238-4653. Thank you again.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks to be with you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
That'll give me a couple of weeks.